Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with Normal. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director here at the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, April 18th, 2025. You know what that means, friends. We're going to talk about this week's cannabis science and policy developments, and I'm going to take your burning questions live. So let's get down to it. Take a quick second. Hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you're watching so you never miss when Normal goes live. And drop a note in the comments now. Let me know where you're watching from and if you have any burning questions. So let's see who's here today. Hey, Nick, happy Friday to you. Hey, Samuel in North Carolina. Nick, of course, is in Pennsylvania. Hello to everyone who just joined us on Instagram. VA Homegrown. What's up? Good to see you. Hey, never answer the phone in Quebec City. Hey, Jeff in Vegas. Hey, Jared. Where are you? Hi, Eddie in Roanoke. Welcome, welcome. Hey, VA Homegrown, let me look at your Tennessee question right here about tenants' rights. Yeah, you could just go ahead and send us an email at legal@normal.org. Legal, Legal, at normal, NORML.org. And we'll see what we can do or who we can refer you to. Hey, Knowledge in Fredericksburg. Good to see you. Hey, Hugo in Ohio. All right, Jared, I'm excited to hear what you can't wait for. I hope it's this sweet, sweet news that we're going to talk about. Let's talk about it. So this week you're in Ohio. Well, all right. We don't have any news about Ohio this week, interestingly, but there's some shenanigans going on in your state. Since we're talking about it, Hugo, and since my colleague and I were talking about this right before the show started, I want to be sure you have this on your radar. So there are a lot of bills, a lot of efforts, I should say efforts. There are a lot of efforts underway in Ohio to really just gut the voter approved legalization law. So I'm going to drop a link to 2 action alerts for Ohio because there are 2 bills, a Senate version and a House version, that don't do nice things to the legalization laws you voters in Ohio approved. Those are in the chat now. So take a look at those and share those. Hey, Kathy in Maryland. Hey, David in Springfield. David, I'm sure you know that coming up next weekend, look, I forgot how time worked. Yes, next weekend, in 8 days, Missouri NORML is having their 2025 spring conference. It's a totally free event. Streams live. I'm going to drop that in the chat for you as well, so you can be sure to put that on your calendar. Hugo's response to Ohio's crazy bills is, in fact, facepalm. That is correct. That is the correct answer. The Stoned Life in Virginia, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody else who just joined us on Instagram. All right. Hey, Jesse in New Mexico. Let's scroll back up and see everybody's comments. Get back on track here. Let's talk about some news from this week. Okay, there's a lot to. Let's do this one first. I'll put this at the top of everyone's. I was gonna say inbox, but we're not inboxing here. Your brain box, if you will. As you know, Sunday is 420. And it's the day that everyone else remembers the cannabis policy is a thing, but not us, because we think about that every day, all day here at NORML. And I expect a lot of you do as well. So here's a piece that I'm sharing with you. It's in the comments now. And it talks about this. 420 is the day for the celebration, but the days leading up to 420, those are the days for action. So while, the advertisers around you are leading into their 420 puns, and lawmakers are trying to get their bills numbered as 420, here's some real serious ways you can take action quickly, easily, conveniently, to help influence the outcome of cannabis legislation, either at the state or at the federal level, how you can support the work we're doing, how you can get your stuff, cool, get yourself cool NORML gear. That's all in this link that I just shared with you. Sorry, Instagram, I can't give you clickable links, but you can find all of this on the NORML website at norml.org. That's NORML.org. It's going to be right there at the top of the page. So make sure not only that you're getting ready to celebrate on Sunday, but that you're taking some action before then. Hopefully we made that easy for you. Now, speaking of sparking change, one of our spring interns, Lily, wrote a really excellent blog about why she is interested in interning at NORML. She's been with us this semester, is doing a great job. Sorry, YouTube, that split your link in half. I hate when it does that. Let's see if I can put it back there for YouTube. But Lily wisely writes, I'm interning with NORML to spark change beyond 420. She adds this, with 420 approaching, a date often recognized as a cultural celebration of cannabis, it's important to remember that at NORML, cannabis advocacy doesn't just happen one day a year. Lily is so very right, as I'm sure all of you know. Take a look at her blog as well. And if you know someone who's interested, or if you're interested in interning at NORML, go ahead and apply, norml.org/internship. Plural? Let me just check that out real quick. I do see, is it plural? I see your question, Richard. I'm going to look up that URL. Just search for interns on the NORML website. You'll find it. It's no big deal. Just apply. Anyhow, Richard, first of all, thank you for joining from Kentucky. You have a really excellent NORML chapter in Kentucky. So if you're not connected with Kentucky NORML, please do. They're great. Big shout out to Matthew and Lauren. Hugo, thank you for sharing that Ohio alert. Hey, Sean, good to see you. Okay, where's your question, Richard? What do I think about the Tennessee laws going on right now? I was going to be about Kentucky. Okay. I have a sneaking suspicion, Richard, that you're asking about hemp laws, and we don't do those at NORML. We do marijuana policy, cannabis laws, cannabis, marijuana specific laws, whatever your state calls it. We do this. We don't do the other ones. But feel free to ask more. Hey, Hunter, on Instagram, I see your question. Hunter asks this. Are we getting close to being able to just walk into the dispensary and get what we need with just an ID? Hunter, that depends on what state you're in. What state are you in? Because maybe you already are. Just depends on where you live. Tell me. Oh, in Virginia. Thank you, Hunter, because this is a question I can't answer. Are we getting close? Potentially. Every day that we are further away from the current governor is a day closer, potentially, to retail sales in Virginia. Here's what Virginians need to know. You have an election in November. And if you do not elect a governor who will sign a retail sales bill, then the next opportunity Virginia will have to enact retail sales will be 2030. So it's that. Either you're electing a governor in 2025 who presides over the 2026 General Assembly, who will sign a retail sales bill in 2026, with presumably some sales beginning in 2026. That's choice number one. Or choice number two, you don't elect a governor this November who will sign a bill. And then you do not have the opportunity to pass that legislation again until potentially 2030 when you have a new governor. Make good choices, people. So yeah, that's what's up, Hunter. The good news is that in Virginia, it's very easy to get certified by a qualified healthcare professional for medical cannabis. You can find a number of providers at vanormal.org/doctors. There's no made up list of conditions in Virginia. There's no age restrictions. There's delivery. Well, things are buzzing at me. Okay, thanks for your question. Appreciate it, Hunter. Hey, Kyle. Thanks for joining us. I am glad to hear that you've found relief. Good news, in Florida, there is legislation pending that would expand patient certifications from the current 1 year to 2 years. So 2 years. Your certification as a patient would be valid for 2 years in Florida. You're welcome, Hunter. Help. What am I supposed to help you with, Kyle? Get certified. There's also a bill in Florida to eliminate registration fees for veterans. Hi, Ken. Good to see you. I'm just going to put this up in case Lauren is watching or Matthew's watching. Richard, you were just wondering our opinions. So look, what Tennessee is doing is not unique. States around the country are currently grappling with how to address the proliferation of unregulated intoxicants on their store shelves. Look, if you see products out there that are labeled THCA, flower in particular, that's weed. I mean, maybe you don't really know because it's not regulated. So what's in it? I don't know. No one knows because it's not regulated. So have fun. But THCA flower is weed. In any real world situation where you know what's in it, that's what it is. That's how THC is present in flower, is as THCA. So anyhow, products like that, when they're not regulated, present health risks to consumers, and that's all we care about at NORML as consumers. And you deserve to know what you're buying. You deserve to know what's in your product. You deserve to believe that what's on the label is what's actually in the package. You deserve products that aren't contaminated with pesticides, with other microbials, with yeast, with mold, with mycotoxins, with residual agents from chemical synthesis. Yuck. That's gross. You don't deserve to ingest things like that. Anyhow, I don't know why you can't grow your own. Oh, because you're in Florida, Kyle. Kyle, you cannot grow your own because you are in Florida. That's why. Florida. That's the place. You all have insane representation in that state. And I say this with my full chest as someone who was born and raised in Florida. Ew. Stop electing crazy. If you don't want bad cannabis, this is for everyone. If you don't want terrible cannabis policies, then stop electing people to your legislature who do not support cannabis policies that you want. You have to elect people who are good on cannabis policy if you want good cannabis policies. Listen, we got you. You can go to vote.normal.org. Check out our voter guide. It's called Smoke the Vote. It's going to show you who's on your ballot and where they stand on cannabis policy. No, you didn't pass it because in Florida, the legalization ballot measure is a constitutional amendment, and that requires more than a simple majority vote. It didn't pass because you didn't reach that threshold. No one was saying no to it because of some perceived monopoly. It's not a monopoly, by the way. That means one. Yes, Casey, thank you. Casey says, hey, I heard that Florida is giving veterans state tax breaks for THC products. Is this true? Sort of. So what passed in Florida? I believe it just passed. I'm going to check. I'm going to check marijuana moment for this. But I did read it. And we shared an article. So Melissa Filler is the executive director of Tennessee NORML. She was quoted in an article recently talking about, there we go, Florida lawmakers unanimously approved bill to make medical marijuana cards free for military veterans. It would exempt vets from state registration fees for medical cannabis cards and allow them to obtain the certifications for free. I'm not certain where this free certifications come from, but it would waive the $75 registration and renewal fees for veterans. I got that article for you right here if you want to read more about it. Casey, let me make sure it posts wherever you're watching on LinkedIn. Hopefully it posts to LinkedIn. If not, it's on the Marijuana Moment website. Sean, I'm not sure if I missed one of your comments, but I hope you're just responding to something I said. Kyle, I don't know if your PCP is a certifying practitioner in the state of Florida. Sorry, I don't know that answer. Nick, I see Nick. I see. I see your question about polls. Okay, let's get into it, and I hope this is what you're talking about, Nick, because I saw sort of a different frame on this about it being a little bit more Trump specific. Here comes the story. Here comes the quote. I'm going to split them up so that YouTube doesn't chop it all up. Okay, so there was a poll done recently, and this is a very Republican-leaning poll, and meaning it includes an oversampling of Republicans, and this poll finds that 66% of respondents support legalizing adult use, 68% believe that states should be able to determine their own marijuana policies free from federal interference, and 70% believe that marijuana should be rescheduled federally. This story is on the front page of NORML, normal.org. Check it out. Thanks for asking, Nick. This is, again, not information that's new, but it's great in particular that this was a Republican heavy poll. Of course, this comes out at the same time as the States 2.0 Act was introduced. Essentially, this is a very dumbed down version of explaining the States Act, but it would essentially legalize cannabis in states that have legalized cannabis. Federally legalized cannabis in states that have legalized cannabis, allow those states to continue setting their own marijuana policies without threat of federal interference. Hey, Dennis, any who's out of North Carolina? No. 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 Yes, but no. Not the kind of news you're looking for, but there is news. I don't know if it's on. I'm looking right now. It is. Okay. So H1011 was introduced this week. So actually 2 days ago is when it finally dropped. This is the North Carolina Compassionate Care Act. I will drop the link in the chat for you now. Where did it go? I can't even see it. Here we go. I'm going to drop the link in the chat for you now that has the action alert for HB 1011. Dennis, thanks for asking. So that's new. A new bill dropped. All right. Hey, Kyle in Florida, talking about New Jersey. Yes. But also New Jersey doesn't have personal cultivation. So I get it. Virginia does. It's right in between those two states. Jason, you're like the fifth person this week to bring this topic up with us. Jason asks, what do you think about these alcohol companies trying to take over the sales of THC infused drinks? Yeah, that's something. I think in states that have not taken control of cannabis, states that are not regulating cannabis effectively, are really poised to succumb to this type of predatory policy shopping. And I'll also add this, just purely from stepping back and looking at it from a policy perspective. We have over 2 decades of real world regulatory experience with cannabis in the United States. This is not new. And there is ample data from states that sell cannabis legally that there is next to none, next to zero, when it comes to underage people being able to get into a dispensary and buy cannabis. That is not the same for alcohol sales. Just saying. So I think the whole narrative around it of, oh, well, we know how to sell intoxicating products best. Do you? Because there's no underage diversion happening in legal dispensaries. Can you say that about legal alcohol sales in the United States? I don't think you can. In fact, I know you can't. It's a really states that haven't taken control of cannabis regulation, you left yourself and your constituents open to this. It's not going to be as effective as of an approach in states that already have well-established regulatory models for cannabis, which arguably is how cannabis should be sold. Ah, can I just comment? Let's let everyone play. Can I just comment on a doctor that's not going to kill you? I'm sure there's Google's free. I'm sure there's someone in Florida, medical marijuana doctor. There are a lot of them. I don't. Oh, in fact, the Florida Department of Health, this is wild. Florida Department of Health even provides a link to that. So, Kyle, I'm dropping a link just for you into the chat that links to the Florida Department of Health so you can look up qualified medical cannabis physicians. It's the best I can do for you. Hey, Gryffindor on Instagram says definitely need federal rescheduling, in my opinion, in our opinion as well. Look, federal rescheduling and federal descheduling are two different things, and that's okay. The administrative process that's underway around rescheduling, that's just what it is. There's no way to turn that process into something other than rescheduling. That is the only conversation in that administrative process that is occurring. Now, of course, it has been entirely on pause since Trump took office. Nothing is happening there. But the process did start, again, under the previous administration, under Biden administration. Biden called for HSS to take this review, and they did. Descheduling, removing marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act altogether, that is something that has to occur by act of Congress. The president cannot mandate it. Issuing an executive order is not the way that happens. The administrative process that's underway right now that is specific to rescheduling is also not the way that happens. You, as Americans, as American voters, have to elect Congress, a Congress that will pass that bill and put it on the desk of a president who will sign it. That is how marijuana gets descheduled. That's how federal legalization, that's how ending prohibition, whatever you want to call it, that's how that happens. Congress passes a bill, president signs it. Stop electing people who won't do those things. Okay, thanks. I don't know who that is. Oh, I'll take a quick second while we block that person and delete their comment. Hey, Bernie, I'm going to show your question while I delete this weird spam question. Okay, Bernie says this. Bernie is asking a question about Virginia. Bernie says, will the new legislation provide an avenue for small operators to secure a license so that we can become legal in Virginia? Yes. Every adult use retail sales bill in Virginia has included that option. It's still going to be there in the 2026 version, and I expect it will be the best iteration of that we have seen. There's a real, honest effort amongst the Virginia legislature, amongst the people who are drafting this legislation, to ensure that there are not really high barriers to entry. That if you are a small business, you can get a license at an affordable cost. That if you are a small business, you may have multiple licenses. That if you are a mid-sized business, you're going to get a mid-sized price and not as many licenses. And if you're really big, you're not going to have the ability to buy up a bunch of licenses and your costs are going to be higher. Okay. I appreciate your question. Even though we're not a business organization, that's a question I can answer because I'm here in Virginia. Sean, I see what you're Let's read Sean's comment also about Virginia. Sean says it's unfortunate. It's regulated if you go with a hemp license. Yes, sort of. In Virginia, and every state is different, it is sort of regulated. It is not by any means the same type of regulatory provisions that medical cannabis is subject to or that adult use cannabis will be subject to in the state of Virginia. So it is regulated to some degree, but you and I both know what that means. Sean goes on to say, but that's not the goal. The goal is for us growers that go through the hoops and yes, what I like about your comment most is this. Sean adds, elections matter. You have to show up, send an email, whatever, let your voice be heard. So right, Sean. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Hey, Sadie, welcome to the show. See your comment about Nebraska. Sadie says Nebraska people voted for it, and then Republicans swept it under the rug. Yep. Hugo, I thank you, Suncoast NORML, for chiming in with this is the veterans bill in Florida, right? Suncoast says it only passed one committee. It needs a floor vote in both houses. Thank you. Oh, I see your question, Hugo. What matters is the potency test on the final product. And depending on where you are, your state is going to mandate when you test. So that's my answer to that. I don't know, Kyle, if your PCP in Florida can register you for free. Thank you, Sean, for your comment about, thank you for your further explanation. Dennis, thank you for that link. Is that the link to the North Carolina? Is that marijuana moment story about HB 1011? I can't click the link, but I can ask you and then you can tell me. I assume it is about 1011. Yes, Sean. Exactly, Sean. If Virginians do not elect a governor in 2025 who will sign a retail sales bill, that is correct. Sean says, so we may not be able to get applications for cultivation and retail for adult use in Virginia until 2030. Correct. You could either elect a governor this November who will sign a bill, and then we can pass that bill in 2026, put it on her desk, and then applications reasonably could open in 2026. Or you don't elect a governor who will do that, and then you have that. We just had 4 years of that. Do you want 4 more years? I know you don't. That math means 2030. Jason, thank you. I assume that you're giving me mic drop props. Who knows? Okay. Nick says if they want to regulate cannabis like alcohol, then we should be able to grow our own if we can make our own beer. I love it. Hey, LinkedIn user, I like this. This is interesting. I have not. First of all, I haven't seen this yet. Feel free to send it our way. LinkedIn user says, I'm hearing rumblings about how Mylar packaging can contaminate flower products with heavy metals. Am I aware of any research that's been done into this? No, but I'm going to text someone about this right now. Any research on mylar contaminating flower? Heavy metals. I love it. You're welcome. I just texted a forensic toxicologist who let us know. Virginia is not for lovers, I assure you. It's like an okay place to be today. Sean, I think I'm seeing your questions after I answer them, so I wish I were seeing it in real time, but I'm like 8 minutes behind in the comments. I hope I answered your question, Sean. What's happening in Nebraska? Let's see. Hold on, I gotta find Nebraska on the map. There we go. In Nebraska, there are 2 bills in our action alert page. We are opposing LB 483, which is an attempt to limit the types of medical cannabis that can be available. And then another one that we're it seems like it's the same for both. This is LB 677, which is essentially a flower ban. So that's what I know about Nebraska at the moment. I'm going to drop those action alerts in the chat, right? I can see the hamster running. There we go. Peace and love. Hopefully this is posting for you on Twitter. If not, you can head to norml.org/act, click on Nebraska, and it'll give you a pop-up for these 2 action alerts. So please send those to your friends and family and everyone you know in Nebraska and tell them to email your lawmakers and oppose these efforts to restrict medical cannabis and repeal medical cannabis access. I can tell you that 141 constituent emails have been sent to lawmakers in Nebraska opposing both of these measures. Oh, it was the same one. Sorry, I showed it twice. It's the same, yes, both of them in one. Also, peace and love, only 141 constituent emails have been sent opposing this effort. So please be sure you are sharing that with everyone you know in Nebraska. Samuel, I see your question about the fishbowl. Message me on LinkedIn. How about that? Because I see you're watching on LinkedIn. You can find me there really easily. Let's connect that way. Hey, Jana in Idaho. Okay, so Jana is asking if a schedule change in the federal level would change anything in Idaho. No, it wouldn't. It would not, unless you are in a state that has what's known as a trigger law. That means that, like, if the feds pass a law, then your state code would automatically change because of the law that your state had passed. And I'm fairly confident in assuming that Idaho is not one of those states that has a trigger law legalizing cannabis. If I'm wrong, feel free to let me know, Russ Belville. But I'm guessing no. No, that's my TLDR on that. Thanks to everyone who just joined us on Instagram. Leah says, I wish Georgia would legalize. Too many backward thinking people. I agree. I really wish Georgia would also focus on improving their medical cannabis program. So much room for improvement there. Charles, I saw that. Charles says yesterday in Kentucky, an investigation was started because claiming that most Kentucky business licenses were issued by the Kentucky Lottery to out-of-state license holders. Hopefully, this will not set back the launch of dispensary sales starting in early winter 2025. I can almost guarantee you that it will, Charles. We see this state after state after state. This is the new name of the game. Sore losers don't win, and they want to make sure that because they aren't the ones selling legal cannabis, that no consumers have access to legal cannabis. Anyhow, that's something that happens in literally every state now with licensing. There is always litigation. There is always someone claiming that the process was not fair because they didn't win. Sean, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Victoria says, I love your page. Thank you for your page. You're welcome, Victoria. I love when people say nice things. Okay. Oh, it's that time of day where Google signs me out. I hope you all enjoy this part of the show as much as I do, because it seems like it happens every week now. Oh, an error. No, I don't. I need my script. Thank you. Okay. Yes, Brian. Yes. Exactly. All right. Let's talk about we did the poll, we did the spark change and the 420 take action. I want to talk about 2 state actions, and then we'll do science. So we'll do bad news first, because why not? Hey, Montana, what's wrong with you? Okay, let's get this. Let's get this whole thing posted. Here's the link coming first. Here's the comment coming second. So this week in Montana, there were 2 bills that lawmakers approved. One of them imposes new restrictions on legal cannabis edibles, and the other establishes a zero tolerance per se DUID limit for THC for drivers under 21. So House Bill 636 stipulates that a single serving of an edible cannabis product may not exceed 5 milligrams, even though under current law, single servings are currently limited to 10 milligrams. So what I'm hearing, Montana, is that you want to incentivize consumers to go to the illicit market. You have a legal market. People are shopping there successfully. Nothing bad is happening. And instead of encouraging people to continue shopping at safe, legal, licensed dispensaries, you want to say, no, you can't have those products anymore that we've been selling you without issue for years. Now, if you want stronger products, go buy them from drug dealers. Got it. Good thinking, Montana. You can just read what's been successful in other states, but here we are. And this is what we're talking about every week here at NORML. There are lawmakers attempting across the nation, in red states and blue states, to roll back your freedom. Here is a perfect example. House Bill 636 in Montana. I know you love paying more for cannabis. Congratulations, Montana. Senate Bill 508 in Montana is the one that will impose new criminal penalties for drivers under 21 who have any detectable amount of THC in their system, regardless as to whether or not they're under the influence. So state law in Montana already prohibits anyone from operating a motor vehicle with THC levels above 5 nanograms per milliliter. Again, this is not in any way indicative of impairment. This just simply means that there are metabolites present in that person. And the reason why it's 5 nanograms, because when they pass the law, that's the level to which their tests could test for. Not based in science, just based in testing capability. And this is the lowest number we can test for, so we feel like that's how we'll criminalize you. It's not evidence-based policy. Anyhow, there's also Senate Bill 27 in Montana that extends the moratorium on new cannabis business licenses. All three of these bills are awaiting action from the Republican governor, and separate legislation that wanted to impose a mandatory registry for cannabis consumers, not medical registry, adult use, make you pay to register to purchase legal adult use cannabis products, and legislation significantly restricting the potency of adult use cannabis products. Both of these failed to make it out of committee, fortunately, but still got some really jankety bills headed to your Republican governor in Montana. Yikes. So that's what's up in Montana. Let's see if anyone has anything to say about that. Yes, 10 milligrams is very much the standard. Real ox, yes. There are a few states that have 5 milligrams, but 10 milligrams is the more common one. Yeah, so real, that in Montana, that is specific to THC. Whenever we're talking about marijuana testing, that is going to, like drug testing, bodily fluids, that is going to be specific to THC metabolites. Not the molecule CBD versus like CBD products, which very often contain THC. Hey, Bayside. I see you. Welcome to the show. All right, we did Montana. Let's talk about Florida. I know everyone's cringing, but this one's interesting. It's interesting. The ruling is legit, but did this person just get away with something serious? Who knows? There's an appeals court in Florida that just threw out a cannabis trafficking, a marijuana trafficking conviction, ruling that drug dogs, canines, cannot distinguish between hemp and marijuana. And what they didn't do, really what they did was demonstrate that prosecution did not sufficiently prove that this was all marijuana. The defendant appealed his conviction, arguing that he believed the packages contained hemp products, which are legal in Florida, and the court agreed, opining that there was no way to determine whether the defendant was carrying hemp or marijuana, absent analytical testing of every bag, which had not been done. So there were like 50 bags. Law enforcement later provided one of the 50 bags for chemical analysis. one did test positive for marijuana. They didn't test all of them. And it's the state's burden to prove the identity and weight of the alleged substance, wrote the judges. Bayside, we're streaming on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So see us wherever you want. But the YouTube chat, that's where it's at. The YouTube chat is a life of its own. There are so many people who switch over to the YouTube stream so they can all talk to each other. We have regulars that are there every week that are fantastic, like Nick and Samuel. Hey, Curtis, welcome back. Hey, Doctor's always there as well. All right. Curtis says, hopefully it can be legal here in Georgia soon. We need federal legalization to give the states incentive to legalize. Curtis, I think that could definitely be helpful for some Republicans in some states. The problem is we got to elect people to Congress who will pass that bill. All right, we did Florida, we did Montana. Now we're down to the wire. We got some science stories to cover for you. Some of them you're going to say, yeah, of course, duh. And those are my favorites. I think all of them. I'm going to save one for, I don't know. It doesn't even matter. Here's one for you. This is an analysis that was done on a cohort, I think, of 74 recently discharged military veterans who have PTSD. And shocking, I know, but researchers did conclude that cannabis used by veterans with PTSD is linked to reduced stress and better same-night sleep quality. It was a cohort of 74 military veterans that had recently discharged and that had elevated PTSD symptoms. And not only did the subjects acknowledge that on days when they used cannabis, they had lower levels of stress and better sleep quality that night, those who consumed greater levels of alcohol during the day reported poorer sleep quality that same evening. I know, shocking. I'm just here to bring you the news. Got another one for you, and this is something that we've covered, not only the veterans attributing efficacy to cannabis, but this one is about chronic pelvic pain, specifically with CBD. And this is a study that looked specifically at women with chronic pelvic pain. And it was just 477 women. 81% of the study participants reported reduced pain following their use of CBD products. Not CBD isolate, CBD products, whatever that means. Many respondents also reported improved sleep, reduced anxiety, less depression, less fatigue, better overall health. A large portion of those using CBD reported substituting that instead of prescription medications, finding that it is consistent with prior research, as we've discussed many times here. And then, did we do them all? Here is the last one. Now, while this isn't particularly interesting because this is kind of something we already knew, there is a part to it that is interesting. let me drop the link and then I'll drop the comment. So there's a clinical trial. This is not just research. This is not just a study. This is a clinical trial. A clinical trial was done that looked at orally administered. So they used brownies in this case in the clinical trial. They used brownies that had either synthetic Delta 8 or synthetic Delta 9. And the conclusion reached from these clinical trial data is that orally administered Delta 8 has similar but milder effects than Delta 9 THC. What's interesting is that this trial was the first study in over 5 decades to assess the effects of Delta 8 THC in human subjects. Wow. Wow. That is the most fascinating part of that whole thing. Hey, Cheryl. Cheryl asks how things in Texas are progressing. Well, what I can tell you about Texas is this. We are tracking 6 bills in Texas. There's an adult use bill, which is HB 1208. That's currently sitting in committee. There's another adult use bill that is HB 2959, also sitting in committee. There is a depenalization measure. That is HB 3242. It's also sitting in committee. That was the most recent action. They had action on 415. There's another adult use measure, HB 5307, sitting in committee. A lot of scrolling to do here. There's another adult use measure sitting in committee. That's SB 335. And another depenalization measure in committee, SB 2028. There we go. A lot of bills to take action on in Texas. You can head to NORML.org/act to visit NORML's Take Action Center. I'll drop a link to that in the chat for you. You're going to click on Texas and you will see all 6 of those bills, and it says email your legislator. You just click on that and you can send a message to your lawmakers in support of these measures in literally just a few seconds. Thanks for asking. Brian says, most Delta 8 products make me physically ill. Here's the thing. First of all, I'm laughing, Brian. Not at you being sick, but just that, yeah, of course. Here's the thing for everyone who wants to complain about what we're about to say. It's not about the molecule itself. It's not about the molecule Delta 8 THC, right? This clinical trial just showed that very similar, has milder effects. That's not the problem with these products. The problem with these products is that they're not regulated. And the way the Delta 8 is manufactured is through a chemical synthesis process. It is not being extracted from the plant. CBD of some kind from somewhere is converted through a chemical synthesis process. That is why it's called a synthetic, because it goes through a synthesis. And substances that are created by synthesis are called synthetic. In order for that process to occur, the CBD is cooked in battery acid for a few days, 3 days. Yum. Now, there's nothing wrong with synthesizing chemicals. Lots of drugs that we take are made that way. What's harmful is when it's done outside of any regulatory landscape, and the potentially very harmful byproducts of that chemical synthesis process can remain in the end product. And then it does things like make Brian physically ill. Gregory, that is the very most kindest thing I've read today. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. First of all, the cool memo, your name makes me happy every time I see it. Happy Friday to you as well. Brian, what of state bills and House bills are being overlooked? I remind you, there are three of us who work here. So if there's a bill that you think is like super critical that has to do with actually with marijuana and consumers, please let us know. Please draw our attention to it. We are trying our best to juggle all 50 states and the federal action. Cheryl, thank you for sending those action alerts. I really appreciate that. Please be sure you are sharing those with all the people you know in Texas. Kevin, good to see you again on Instagram. Welcome back. Thank you. Hi, Mary in Indiana. I see your sad face, and I know it's because you're in Indiana. Sorry. Exactly, Brian. Garage chemists. Oh, your name is actually Cole. It's even more perfect. I love it so much. All right, look at that. We did great today, friends. We made it through so many newses in mostly an hour. Let me tell you about a few other things, and then we're all going to go have a super awesome weekend. Okay, if you liked all of these stories, you can get them in your inbox tomorrow at 9 a.m. Yeah. Eastern. NORML's Weekend Weed Read delivers Saturdays at 9 a.m. Eastern. You can visit norml.org/subscribe. Make sure you check the Weekend Weed Read box so you always get that delivered on Saturdays. You will also get the Thursday news of the week. That comes out at about 4:20 Eastern time on Thursdays because we think we're funny. Kevin says the weekend reads are nice for sure. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Hey, Big Drip, Virginia. Happy 420 weekend to you as well. Thank you for watching. What else can I tell you about? Oh, you know what? We'll just type this in here. Happy 420 from NORML, exclamation point. Here's the website for that. I hope it's that. I think I fixed it. There we go. Boom, I did it. I know it is on Easter this year. It's a high holiday for many people. See what I did there? This is great. I really appreciate your questions this week. They've been very entertaining. I want to tell you about some events coming up. Thank you, Cheryl. I'm glad you thought that was funny. I told you a little bit earlier about Missouri NORML's 2025 Spring Conference. They will be covering Missouri stuff, but they're going to talk about federal issues as well. So really anyone can RSVP for this free event. It streams live on Facebook, April 26th. It's from 1 to 6 p.m. Central Time. I put the link in the comment. I see your comment, Samuel. I put the link in the chat to Missouri NORML Spring Conference for everyone. You can just find Missouri NORML on Facebook as well, and they're also on Instagram. But the stream will happen on Facebook. Okay, coming up in 10 days, whenever that is. In 10 days, come see me in Washington, D.C. I had to think about where that was going to be. The National Cannabis Policy Summit is a free event. It is April 28th. I believe doors open at 8:45. It goes until 5 o'clock. This is Eastern time because it's Washington, D.C., and we're using Eastern time over here. But the National Cannabis Policy Summit will be at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Library on April 28th. You can find this at the link I just dropped in the comments, or you go to nationalcannabisfestival.com and you look at the menu at the top, and you look at experiences and you scroll all the way down to the bottom and you will see Summit. That is where you can register for this free event. There is also a reception that evening that you can register for. You'll see that all the way at the bottom of the agenda, the NCPS Advocacy Networking Reception. So this will be on the rooftop of the MLK Library. I think last year we did it inside in the foyer, but as long as it's not raining, I guess we're going to go outside. Love that. This is a really excellent policy summit. I look forward to this every year. It's put on by the National Cannabis Festival, but there will be some really exciting topics like balancing taxation and the unregulated market in cannabis policy, home rule through the lens of cannabis legalization, a keynote address from Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, bipartisan solutions to federal cannabis policy challenges, descheduling versus rescheduling, why language matters. That's the top of our list. Challenges and opportunities, small business ecosystems in the cannabis marketplace. The new era of prohibition, state level attempt to roll back cannabis policy reform. Morgan Fox, NORML's political director, will be on that panel. Really important. We talk about this every week here at NORML, of course. On the record, cannabis policy, returning citizens and criminal justice reform. Love that. And then the reception. So please check that out. I'm going to put this up for Nick. Nick says, happy Easter /420. Hope to see a lot of my Pennsylvania friends at the Cannabis Festival tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Kutztown. Go see Nick. All right, coming up in June. I had to look at the calendar and panic. I wasn't. Coming up in June, I have two events that are all part of one large event to tell you about. First of all, the 2025 NORML Formal is happening at the B2B Rooftop Bash that is put on by CMB, Cannabis Means Business. This is a really excellent expo, and even more excellent because they are hosting the NORML Formal for us again. This is on the rooftop of the Yotel in New York City, June 3rd, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Now, you have to be registered for the expo in order to get a NORML Formal, a B2B Rooftop Bash ticket. But I have discounts for you. You can use code NORML25. I should have made a banner. I have it. It's from last week. Look at that. You can use code NORML25 for a free, entirely free exhibit hall pass, or if you want to upgrade and get one of those big conference passes, or like just the party ticket, get 30% off, which is really significant. And then the expo itself, the Cannabis Means Business Expo itself, is June 4th and 5th. And again, use code NORML25 for a totally free pass to the expo, or save 30% off one of the bigger conference passes. Come see me at the events, both of them. It'd be great. Let's hang out together. See if I can turn that off. There we go. Never clicked so much. And coming up in July, we have the National Cannabis Festival. A little different, doing it in July this year. This is in Washington, D.C. at the RFK Stadium Festival Grounds, specifically Lot 8. Tickets are on sale now, and you should definitely buy them early if you want to go, because they have sold out many years. NationalCannabisFestival.com. Here we go. And then last but not least, I have an event for you that's in December, but it's one that takes maybe a little bit of planning. So I want you to know about it as far in advance as possible. This is the 2025 NORML Key West Legal Seminar. It's December 4 through 6 at the Hyatt Centric Key West in Key West, obviously, Florida. You should register for this. If you're an attorney and you need CLEs, we got you. Our legal seminars are fully accredited in every state that requires continuing legal education credits for practicing attorneys. If you don't need CLEs or you're not an attorney, good news. We have a discounted rate for you. So this is absolutely something you can come to if you are not an attorney. I'd love to hang out with you in Key West. You can see me. You can meet Paul. You can meet Keith. It'll be a great time. It always is. We're super excited to be at Hyatt Centric this year, and go ahead and register at norml.org/Key West. Let me know if you have any questions. We did it. We did it all. We did all the things. I'm sorry, Tim Ghost Wolf, who just joined us. We're almost done. But for you and Tim and anyone else who wants to rewatch this, you can find all of Live with NORML on our YouTube. Even has its own podcast section, so you didn't really miss anything. You can listen to it later. We try to do this every Friday, so make sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. I'm sorry. Whoa. I'm very confused as to I can't even with that question. Literally all we do is lobby in favor of legalization, whether it's the state or federal level. It's what we do. I don't know how much money you think we're taking in, but I can assure you it's far less than you think. Tim, you're welcome. I saw you join and I didn't want you to think we were leaving just because you got here. We're not. We're just an hour and 13 minutes into this. Yeah, I can't read this and not say bok bok, but thank you, Samuel. Happy 420 weekend to you as well. I hope you all have a great weekend celebrating whatever you're going to celebrate, whether it's a spring or rabbits or candy or eggs or baskets or weed or all of them. That's pretty much what Sunday is this year, April 20th, 2025. All the things. Just make sure you put the right grass in the right basket. Hey, I'm J.M. Padini. I'm the development director here at NORML. I've had a blast hanging out with you here at Live with NORML. I would love to do this all again next week. So make sure you're following, and I hope you all have a great weekend. And I'll see you right back here next time. Bye-bye.